Last time we gave the general outline of what Ray Noah Vanini was talking about. Anyway, so the main idea. So if the idea of Geula is really about Hakadosh Baruch Hu setting up the situation to make sure there's no impediments, so we can perfect ourselves. So now let's get into the nitty gritty. I think that's what we left off with, right? So what are the other more specific questions? One question is, what's Re'eh? What does Re'eh mean? Versus. Well, there are two basic terms we usually use when it comes to beseeching God to look out for us. One is, so to speak, well, think about in nature, or Shema. There's Re'eh and Shema.
Isn't there some Itzvah?
What?
Itzvah?
I don't understand what you're saying. Ma'akoleno Hashem Malkeinu, right? So the question is what's the difference between Re'eh and Shema? That's one question. Why do you say Re'eh? Another question I think you asked last time, which is what's Goel Chazak Ata? Why don't we just say Kiguel Ata? When you see something versus what we think Shema means, the concept of Shema, seeing just means that is an initial evaluation, right? If you remember, like we saw by Dea Bina Bahaskel, but seeing in general, like for instance by when God comes down to by Bavel, right, Migdal Bavel, or you have by what do you call it, by Bnei Yisrael suffering in Mitzrayim. So this is Vayar. So God saw. So why does he use God saw? Because what is God doing, so to speak? He's observing, gathering the information together, right?
By in the beginning
right, yeah, exactly, right. It's all observation, right? But observation implies what? Saying, God, look at the situation, look at Onyenu, because we lack the means. And when we observe, what we see and we think is reality, right, is an incomplete version. We can never see a complete picture of what's going on. It's an impossibility.
So
you understand? Ask God, Re'eh Vanyenu, we're saying, because we can't. Right? So you observe, but what you see is a complete picture. And then we hope by seeing that complete picture, the next step is, Riva Rivenu. Now you'll go ahead and take up our case, so to speak. You'll fight our battles. Okay, so now let's just get a little more detailed now. So now we have Riva Rivenu and then Ugalinu Merlan Shemecha. Okay? So there's two steps in there. So what are the two steps? So what's Riva Rivenu versus Galin and Shemecha? Why didn't you say Re'eh Vanyenu, Ugalin and Merlan Shemecha? Yeah.
I would maybe just quickly say that because we need God's help.
Well, now we're going to slice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If he sees our situation, he's going to know the best way to handle it.
Okay.
So what is him to help us?
So what does Riva Rivenu do for us? That like again, we're breaking down step by step. If I asked you if we just start the Riva Rivenu, I know wouldn't say Geula, but what are we lacking in? What do you think Riva Rivenu does?
Perfection.
No. No. The Galeno does that. We
don't do anything.
I understand, but he's setting up a situation for us. So we have Onyenu. So what's the first step in Onyenu? What's the first thing God should? What?
Fight our fights. Fight our fights.
Yeah.
Oh, he gives us the opportunity. He helps us
our quarrels
to fight our own fights.
Well, it's like this. In other words, I'd say it like this. There's two steps. Okay, one step is to remove the Onyenu, right? That's the Riva Rivenu. Remove it. So remove the impediments, right? But we want more from God. We don't want just God to remove the impediments, but we also want Him to direct us on the right path. There's an idea of just simply removing an obstacle. There's another idea of encouraging someone in the right direction. Let's put it in terms of like the brachos and klolos, right? There's one thing to say that we're not in a state of famine anymore. Okay, that's great, right? But the brachos are not just for not in a state of famine, but the world produces like tons of produce, and that allows us to worship God in a better way. So it's a similar thing here. In other words, Riva Rivenu is God removes the impediments, and Ugalinu Merlan Shemecha is now He directs us in the positive direction. Like I don't know the details. We don't know the details, but we know that He works out avenues for us to be able to reach that level of perfection that we so desire. Okay? Okay, so then the last thing is Kiguel Chazak Ata. So why Chazak? And then strong.
What about Ugalinu?
I'm sorry, Ugalinu Merlan Shemecha, right? No, well, so Ugalinu, right? That's the positive. Why do we say Leman Shemecha?
So what is he doing in Riva?
And now Mehera doesn't need an explanation because Mehera implies what? Because we want it. And there's a Mehera means please do it as quickly as you can. What's Leman Shemecha? Always tell you. It's a universal. What's Leman Shemecha?
The only real existence is God, so it's everything actually. I don't know how to put it in words, but we always end everything because you are everything.
Right. So and what do we?
For the sake of it, we can't do it. It's not for us.
Right.
We don't have that the schus.
Right.
We're asking for Hashem to have mercy.
Right, but our desire in Geula is directed towards what? God. In other words, Laman Shemecha, meaning the only reason why we want this is so we can serve God correctly. Remember, that's why this is.
Someone said, didn't say in order for us to serve.
No, but that's the idea, Laman Shemecha. Why did I say Laman Shemecha? Ugalin Amira. But why should God give us this Geula? Laman Shemecha. Why Laman Shemecha?
Is there just a shorter way of saying that?
Yeah, but think about thematically why this is a beautiful thing. In other words, you go from we want das, we want tshuva, we want mechila, not in the zero state, and the next step is we want to ultimately really engage in avodas Hashem to the highest possible level. Okay, so in order to do that, we're saying God, remove any impediments that may stop us, show us the right path to go on. Okay, and then with that, we're saying to God, our desire to engage in avodas Hashem has nothing to do with us. It simply has to do with one thing: you. Meaning, we're here to serve God. That's it. It's not a self-serving concept whatsoever.
And that's what Laman Shemecha.
That's Laman Shemecha. It's only for your sake. Now, we have nothing personally invested in it.
Only for God's sake?
Only for God's sake. And we'll see what I like about this sequence.
Why not for ours?
Because what do we care about us? That would imply ego.
But why would God care about us?
No, He doesn't care about us. He doesn't.
Why would it be for His sake then?
Because we're recognizing that's MS. We're guided. It's like a lishma. We're guided purely by MS. That's what we want. We want to voda because it's the right thing to do.
Isn't it our sake to be closer with me? That Hashem is the.
That helps us, but that's what's driving us. The drive can't be. There is a benefit to us, of course. We're living in line with the objective of our existence, but that can't be the drive. So the drive can't be that.
The drive can't be for our sake.
Right. It's never for our sake. It's always the man shemecha. Always the man shemecha. What was I going to say? No, so it's interesting. So if that's the case, I like this because I think the first steps in Bakasha, what do we always call Tefilah as a general concept? I think is really about, if I had to look at the whole theme of Bakasha, it's always about we're asking God to assist us, not just because we're physically dependent existences, but we want to be able to serve God. So think about it. Think how it's broken up. The first steps are das, tshuva, mechila, and then ultimately geula, and that's all insofar as on an individualistic level, getting us in the right state to avodas Hashem. Then you have parnasa and healing, which again, those are also important for us insofar as our physical way of avodas Hashem. And then what switches over by Tekabah Shofar until we'll stop at Shema Kolenu? Well, okay, but what's that geula? It's also avodas Hashem. That's avodas Hashem for the Am on the highest possible level, mikdash, right? So you see that there's the whole theme of Bakasha is always about how we can improve ourselves, and we ask God in order to engage in avodas Hashem properly. That is the major theme of Bakasha. It's not simply because we need to be healed for the sake of healing. It's always about how can we serve God better. You understand? No, but why would we? Okay, same two sides of the same coin. Why should God do this? Why should He intervene on our behalf? Because we want the geula for what purpose? Only to serve Him. You understand? So because of that,
he doesn't need our daven.
He doesn't.
So then it can't be lema and shemecha.
No, you can't take it literally, of course, right? But it means that we're by indicating that our desire is simply to serve God, because that is the right thing to do. Our hope is flip the coin around that God will intervene as a result.
And we'll give Him more glory. Is that the?
We'll live in line with the objective of our existence. Oh, we had that last line of Chazak. That was your question, right? So what would you say? We always like to do that.
Yeah, what's the English translation? Ki goel Chazak.
He's a strong goel.
What's the difference between Chazak and Gvura?
It's a good question. Well, Gvura usually means koach.
Could it be Gol Koach Ato?
Well, I'm not as concerned about the word more insofar as Chazal love doing this.
Right.
Like we say, for instance, what do we say after? What do you call it? Remember, every single one of these tefillahs always has a post statement. So, for instance, Ki Kel Melech Rofe, but we don't say Rofe Ato. We say Neman Rachaman, or we say, I don't know what else we say there. But anyway, Ki Kel Shemea, Kieta Shemea Tfas Kopeh. Right, so we always have these little qualifiers at the end of these things. Okay, so what is Chazak adding? I mean, in general, why would it be incomplete to say Goel? Yeah,
is Goel a noun or a verb?
Goel is
a noun. Redeemer.
He's redeemer. Yeah, he's a redeemer.
The strong redeemer.
Strong redeemer. Right, he's not weak. Yeah. So if you look at Yirmiyahu Nun Lamadalad, you see that you see where Chazal got this from. Golam Chazak Hashem Tzvakos Shemo. So, you know what it says right after that? Right? Riv Yarev as Rivam. Amazing, right? So you see that the formula for, and it happens a lot in all these tefillos, the formula comes somewhere from Navi. So I think it's like this. I think it's just a simple idea. Chazak means that in other words, when we say Hashem Tzvakos, when we say strength, and what's the description of it? It's, what are you going to say? The master legions, usually it always refers to God's complete control over something. For instance, when Chana beseeches God, and the Medrash says that she was the first person to use this kinoi of Hashem Tzvakos, when she beseeches God, so that's what we learn out from it, that she says to God, you have complete control. I have no control.
First time it's used?
Yeah, that's a separate share. Right? I thought I'd give share on that, but anyway, yeah, it's the first time that term is used. Right? The first time ever in the history of Torah at least it's written down, that's ever used, meaning that we know of.
Well, Hashem Tzvakos.
That term.
But Tzvakos itself.
Anyway, so that's what Chazak here means. It just means that when we understand God as a Redeemer, we shouldn't. Again, we always got to take it out of our context. In other words, there's when God does bring us to a geula, it reflects a complete control and knowledge over everything. So it's just strengthening the term. No pun intended. Strengthening the term of goel. What do you call it? And again, why do we also say ki goel chazakata? So that the whole sentence references the fact that we know that this can only come about through God. That we really can't bring about our own geulas. All right, it's almost impossible. We need some assistance. We need God to work out the roads for us. Okay. Intervenu means God intervenes, and when He intervenes, He removes the impediments.
Okay.
Right, but that doesn't mean that He's created a positive derech for us.
That's a good one.
Right, gula is not just removal of the negative, but that's a step. But then it's bringing us to that positive direction. Okay, it's less vague because the truth is that avodas Hashem is a very nebulous type of concept. You know what I mean? There's no it's not this. It's kind of vague. Okay. All right. Next, this is going to be very tough. This I think is the toughest of all in my opinion, of all the bakashas. Al HaTzadikim. Okay. Very difficult. Very, very difficult. Because when you read it, I have no idea. When I first read it, I had no idea what it's talking about. Okay. The other ones you can kind of get the themes. Forget V'Malshinim because that was added in later on. But you have Tekabah Shofar. We kind of understand, right? Hashiva Shoftim Krishna. I mean, that's also interesting. Why it's so important for us to ask for the Shoftim, for justice to return. Rifa'enu and Baruch Aleinu. Intuitively, we understand we need it. Question is, what's Al HaTzadikim? Because what are we mispala for?
That we should be counted with tzaddikim.
What the heck does that mean?
That means we.
And how does it fit into the whole theme of what's going on here?
Maybe for all
tzaddikim.
So then why would it be here? Think about the order. Remember, you have Tekabah Shofar. You could argue is the first is the beginning of requesting Geula stuff, right? The process begins from that point, right? So no, that's the personal Geula. Then you have Baruch Aleinu, and you have Rifa'enu Baruch Aleinu. And then you have a thematic switch. Tekabah Shofar Gadol L'Cheresenu. V'Sa Neis L'Kabetz Galiosenu. Kibbutz Galios is what? That's the initiation of the ultimate Geula. And yet smack in the middle there, V'La Malshim, you can argue, is part of that process also, because in bringing about the Geula, we have to eradicate all those who are deniers of God.
Are we just switching to...
So what's Al HaTzadikim doing in there? And you'll see, when we go through the actual literal meaning, it's a really difficult tefillah. Yaakov, that's your cue. Al HaTzadikim Al HaChasidim.
Yeah. Ani righteous, ani devout. Okay.
And who else? And who else? And who else? And who else? Okay, so you have a very funny thing. So you have this very long list of you would think are very good people, right? Of course. Now, what annoying question you have to ask on this?
Here's the difference.
What's the difference?
What are these people?
Right. What's the difference between the people? Why is it enough to say Al HaTzadikim? Okay. Now, come on. You guys should be smart enough to know by now, without giving a deep answer, but just in general. How would you, just off the top of your head, how would you answer that? All these different people. Why isn't tzaddikim enough? Al HaTzadikim, and then Aleinu. Okay, so yeah.
First of all, you hope that more people are included in this.
Okay.
Whatever this is, but also the difference between tzaddik and chassid, I think it's been told is one does the required amount,
okay,
and the chassid goes beyond the required.
So the Meforshim, right? Okay, I agree. And then what you guys are saying also is true. In other words, clearly there's going to have to be some sort of progression, or you can argue regression, going from the tzaddik being here and let's say Aleinu here, okay? And each one seems to be a level removed. However, that's one road. Some of the Meforshim take that road.
The tzaddik is higher than a chassid, or?
well, yeah, that's the road they take. The other road the Mepharshim take is that no, all these people are equal, right? And then there's us, right? But then you have to define what the difference is between all these people. In other words, but there's great, and then.
But how do you say that they're all equal?
Oh, because each one has a certain trait that they exhibit. That's what do you call it? I'll give you an example. When you look at the Asar Hurugei Malchus, right? You know what I'm talking about? Asar Hurugei Malchus, the 10 dudes.
Yeah,
10.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So if you notice, what happens in each one of them? How does it described?
What are you talking about?
Like when it describes, other than the gruesome nature of the death, when they're introduced, what does it always say?
Where is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we're in-
Asar Hurugei Malchus, and since Tefilah by Yom Kippur and by Tisha B'Av. In other words, each one is brought. Yeah, I'll say like, oh, they brought in this guy, and he was well known for being a sofer, and they brought in this guy, and he was like, and like Rabbi Kiva, he was oker, Svaras, and they have this guy, and he had this trait. So you see that like these great tzadikim. I know I shouldn't use the word tzadikim, but I'm saying they were defined by certain features. Rabbi Kiva is known as being what? There's like this, what do you call it? Genius par excellence. But other Tanaim and Ryan are described differently. They have different traits. Not that one's less than the other. They're all great people.
Oh, I mean, they originally.
You put it in modern day terms, like I don't know. Let's say, like the Rav versus Ramosha. Okay, the Rav was a brisker. His Gemara Shirim were a certain type. That was what he's known for, right? And Moshe was known for Igros Moshe, right? Both of them are great accomplishments, but they're not the same people. It's not that. In other words, there's a difference between the Gedolim. This Gadol was great at this,
Okay.
or I don't know, take Rav Shlomo Zalman against Rabbi Yashav. Rav Shlomo Zalman wrote so much stuff on Refuah. Rabbi Yashav didn't. He wrote stuff on Mammon.
You know what
right?
would make Rebbe card?
So V'alenu. Now, what do you say next? Yehemu na. We'll get to the gear stuff in a second.
Let me read.
I do.
Yemu na'arach na'achash t'nalakinu, v'sein sa'ar t'bechol b'tzor.
No, wait. So what does that mean? Yehemu na rachmecha shamakenu. That God should
Have mercy.
what?
Mercy be aroused within God.
Okay, but so what are we asking for? I'm saying at this point for what?
Pretend we're as great as these other guys.
But see, we don't say that though. No, see, let's just be careful. If you look at the literal translation, it's a very funny tefillah. We say ala tzadikim, ala chasadim, and all these guys, ve'alenu, yehemu rachamecha, Hashem alkeinu, which would sound like we want God's rachamim to apply to who?
To them.
All of them.
For 1 second. What question you have to then ask?
What about me?
Well, forget it, we're equal. What's astonishing about that? We certainly need rachamim, right? But why are we asking for the tzaddik to have rachamim and the tzaddik?
Well, because the event eventually we say
It's like a kind of a cheap move. Okay, so we're asking God have rachamim, right, on the category, and we want to be part of that category. But why should we be part of that category? Do we deserve to be part of that category? No. So what are we
we don't
asking?
deserve rachamim either.
Oh, 1 second. But rachamim, at least you can argue. You're right. We don't deserve it, but at least you can say, listen, we're on a very low level. God have sympathy in us. But why should God put us in the category with these great people? We stink.
Us.
What? Hold that.
Yeah, v'sein sa'ar t'bechol b'tzor.
So now this sounds like, is this an additional bakasha? Yehemu rachamecha Hashem alkeinu. That sounds request 1. Then we say the same sachar tov l'chol botchem m'shem chames. Now, who are those who are botchem m'shem chames?
Could have been all of them.
It seems like everybody, right? All those people, right? So all those who do what? Who,
Trust in God.
right, place their security in the shimcha ms, right? The name which is truth, right?
Right.
And now what's the last line? Last bakasha?
So what's the end that's going on?
I don't know.
Trust or the name?
It's the name of trust. B'shimcha be'emes.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a good question what that means. Is it b'shimcha kama be'emes? I don't know. Okay. V'sim chalkenu.
Right.
Last bakasha. What are we asking for?
No.
Wait, is that a zip ship called Batman?
V'sim chalkenu imahem. Okay. Now, what we say normally is ulu olam lo nevosh, but the normative use is lo olam vilo nevosh. We'll get to why there's a difference later. But what are we asking for? V'sim chalkenu imahem. So
Put our faith with them.
with them, right? Lo olam lo nevosh. What does that mean? Right. Never be disgraced. Why? Ki v'chavadachnu. Because in you we place our security. Okay? Baruch atah Hashem mishan mitach HaTzadikim. So we say the bracha is that God is what?
Security of tzaddik.
Mishan, reliance, miftach,
Reliance. No, support their lines.
right? L'tzadikim.
Right.
Okay. This is this is a very opaque tefillah because I'm not quite sure what we're asking for. All right, I know what you're saying. We want the schutz to be put in that category.
That's for sure.
But again, the question is, how does it fit? Well, you'll see, it's not so simple. But the question is, I want to know how it also fits in. What comes right after this? What comes after this tefillah? L'shleim ircha, which is what? That's talking about.
Oh, Tishma.
No, come on, l'shleim, right? Right? The Chisei Davim Resachim. We want the institution of Mikdash and Malchus. And then we say after that, at Samach Dav Lecham Ratzas Miach, which is ultimate Mashiach. And before that, we're talking about the beginning of Geula. So why is this part of the process of Geula? That's what I want to know. That's not